All right, let's dive into a tarot card that's all about friction, noise, and, well, chaos. It's the often misunderstood Five of Wands. Now, I know it looks pretty intense, but what is it really trying to tell us?
You know that feeling, right? You're in a meeting, maybe a family gathering or a text thread, and it just feels like this storm of opinions. Everyone's got something to say, but it feels like no one is actually hearing anyone else. That is the exact energy we're talking about today.
I absolutely love this quote from tarot.com because it just nails it perfectly. The group chat gone off the rails. The Five of Wands is that exact moment when what could be a creative spark just devolves into pure noise. It's all about that friction, that competition, and just totally crossed wires.
So what is this card of conflicts really about? Because if you look closely at the image, it's not the all-out war that it might seem to be at first glance.
Think of this energy more like a playground tussle. Honestly, this card often represents a battle of egos. It's people kind of fighting to see who's the strongest or who's got the best idea, almost like kids on the playground working out who's top dog. The conflict might feel huge in the moment, but a lot of the time it's about ego, not some deeply serious life-or-death battle.
So, to put it formally, the Five of Wands represents conflict, disagreements, competition, tension, and, yep, those big clashes of ego. It's all about that pent-up energy, the frustration of not being heard, and that struggle for dominance.
And, just like every tarot card, it has two sides to its story. So when it's upright, we are looking right at the active arguments, the chaos, the competition. But when we flip it, when it's reversed, the whole story changes. We start talking about harmony, cooperation, or sometimes a fear of conflict altogether.
So let's get into it. What does it mean when the Five of Wands shows up upright in a reading? This is where we see that chaos in full swing.
Upright, this card is pointing to a situation where you're facing constant opposition. It's that feeling where everyone is fighting to be heard, but nobody's listening, and it just leads to all this pent-up energy and frustration. But here's the twist. This energy isn't always a bad thing. It can actually be incredibly productive, Like in a really intense brainstorming session where challenging each other's ideas leads to something brilliant, it encourages a diversity of opinion, and that forces you to sharpen your own perspective. Okay, now what happens when we flip the card over? The reversed Five of Wands tells a very different story. It's about what happens after all that noise dies down. When it's reversed, this card often signals the end of a conflict. Phew, you're finding common ground, you're reaching agreements, and a sense of harmony is finally returning. But there is a shadow side here to watch out for. It can also mean that you're avoiding a necessary conflict. You're bottling up resentment just to keep a false sense of peace. Or sometimes that battle has moved inward, and it now represents a really personal internal struggle that you're dealing with. So, how does all this chaotic energy play out in one of the most important areas of our lives, our relationships? Let's break it down for the heart. Okay, so if you're in a relationship, the upright card can signal arguments and fighting, or even your playful banter starts to have an edge and risks turning sour. It's that feeling of being adversaries instead of partners. And if you're single, you might find yourself in a really chaotic dating scene, literally competing with other people for someone's attention. Now, when it's reversed, it can mean the welcome end of arguments and a return to peace. But please, be careful it's not just because you're avoiding those difficult but necessary conversations. And for singles, a reversed card might mean your love life is lacking a spark, or maybe you feel too shy or intimidated to even enter the dating arena right now. That competitive energy is, let's be real, often front and center in our professional lives. So what does the Five of Wands have to say about your career and your finances? In your career, the upright Five of Wands points straight to workplace drama, clashing egos, and a super competitive environment. Look, success is definitely possible, but you're going to have to fight for it. And financially, it suggests a temporary struggle or maybe some arguments with others about money. When it's reversed, it can signal the end of that workplace conflict and a move towards real teamwork. But again, there's a warning. It could also mean you're being too fearful to fight for what you deserve, like that raise or promotion. And with money, it can mean you're finally coming through a financial battle, or on the flip side, that unspoken tensions are unfortunately about to escalate. So the crucial question is, what do you do with all this information? When this card shows up, how can you actually channel its chaotic energy in a productive way? It really comes down to this single, powerful question. Before you jump into the fray, before you raise your own wand to fight back, just pause and ask yourself, Is this battle really worth my time and my energy?
So here's your path forward. First, check your motives. Are you arguing to understand and connect with someone? Or are you just fighting to win? There's a big difference. Second, you have to pick your battles wisely. Not every disagreement needs you to jump in. And finally, find a way to channel that chaotic energy into creativity. Use the friction to spark new ideas and to fuel your own personal growth.
So I'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you feel that tension of the Five of Wands rising in your life, just ask yourself this. Is this conflict creating something new and valuable, or has it just become noise? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know.
Continue your tarot journey by liking, subscribing, and checking out our books. The link is in the description below. Until next time, goodbye.